The biggest frustration for a lot of introverts is that you know you're capable, you are introspective, you're self aware, you have all these wonderful ideas, and you have potential. But despite all of this, you somehow feel invisible and overlooked. And you start to build resentment as you watch less capable people around you get all these opportunities and recognition. Why is this happening? That's what this video is about. I'm going to show you the quickest way I know to take you from invisible to impossible to be overlooked. The framework that I'm about to show you is not something I came up with by accident. I lost my right eye when I was just 18 months old. And until I was 7 years old, my eye was visibly deformed. So at 7, my bad eye was finally surgically removed. And since then, I've worn a prosthetic eye. Why am I sharing this? Because until I was 19 years old, I couldn't look people in the eye. I couldn't make eye contact. And well into my early 20s, I struggled to look in a camera, let alone make a video like this. So, whatever I'm about to share with you is from me having survived living in the trenches, spending decades reading hundreds and hundreds of books on psychology, human behavior, communication, and figuring out what actually works in the real world. I'm going to walk you through what I call the impossible to overlook framework. It's the system I've developed over the past 20 years that explains how you go from being quietly competent but invisible to becoming someone people notice, respect, and remember. We'll look at three things. First, the two reasons why popular self help advice doesn't solve this problem. Second, the stages of your transformation journey. And third, the psychological and behavioral systems that make that transformation happen. Most confidence and communication advice does either of two things. Number one, it focuses on too many vague mindset ideas like just be yourself, don't overthink, fake it till you make it, don't care about what other people think. There is nothing actionable in any of this. Or number two, it overloads your brain with 100 different techniques. How to sit, how to walk, how to stand, how many times to use someone's name in a conversation. All of it gets overwhelming really quickly. And that's exactly what's led me to develop the framework I'm about to share with you. This is the same framework I have refined and used on myself over the past 20 years to build my confidence, to change how I communicate, and to show up in a way that other people simply can't ignore. And I've used these same principles over the years to help hundreds of people in different stages of their lives become more assertive, confident, respected, and influential. Let me first show you what your journey looks like. Okay, there are 6 stages in your transformation journey, and each stage has a specific hurdle that you need to overcome in order to get to the next stage. I'll go through each of these stages, try to figure out where you're at currently and where you need to get to. The first stage is where all of us start. This is the stage of invisibility, where we know that something's wrong. We are being ignored, we're being overlooked, we are being treated with disrespect sometimes. And there is a clear discrepancy between how we are treated and how other people around us are treated. And it doesn't sit right, it doesn't feel good. So there is a high motivation to get out of this place as soon as possible, which most people do. This is actually the quickest stage to get out of, and you enter the awareness stage, which is when you kind of come to terms with the fact that there is probably something you are doing which is causing other people to act in an unwanted way towards you, which is also causing you to be overlooked. So there is some agency that you have which can fix this situation. So you go into that fixing mindset and you start reading more about it. That means you start consuming information from books, from watching videos like this, from listening to podcasts. The danger here is that a lot of people spend their entire lives in the awareness stage. They just become expert researchers at digging up more and more information. They become masters of intellectualizing. And the outcome of all of that is that you develop an expansive vocabulary, but there are no real world results. So you stay the same, but you now know a lot of fancy words, which is not a great place to be. It doesn't do anything for you. This is the hardest stage to exit. If you manage to do that, you get into the next stage, which is the experimenting stage, which is when you actually try out things that you have been learning in the real world. And if you have entered this stage, the first sign of it is that you realize a lot of the things that you've been learning, they don't work in the real world. There's a lot of negative feedback. As soon as you start implementing these techniques, you'll realize people don't react the way you were expecting them to. They would react with criticism, rejection. They might cause you to feel shame, and very quickly you may want to go back to your comfort zone, the awareness stage where you want to read more, learn more, analyze more. But that's a mistake. The only way out from the experimenting stage is to understand that the real learnings happen when you try things in the real world. That is where the tools are, not in books, not in videos, not anywhere else. So after awareness stage, experimenting stage is the second hardest to exit. These two stages keep people stuck in that same loop over and over again. The next stage after experimenting, if you manage to push through, is the competence stage. By the way, awareness and experimenting stage, these are the places where you need the most structured systems in place and the most amount of support because that's the hardest to get out of. Competence is not the traditional definition of competence per se. It is more along the lines of having the fundamental systems in place for three things. Number one is for your visibility and presence. There is a system and a framework in place. For impactful communication, there is a system and process in place. And for handling situations where the outcome is uncertain, there is some kind of system, process, ritual in place so that when you have to encounter these situations, you know exactly what to execute. The challenge here is that you just have the fundamentals in place. There is no sophisticated layer beyond it. Plus, you're not able to act with spontaneity. That is, you need some prep time. You need to have prior information before you go into a situation. You're not able to do things in a spontaneous manner without prior planning, which you're able to do once you graduate to the next stage, which is the confidence stage. When things become effortless, it's almost as if everything is on autopilot. It's like Roger Federer playing tennis. He's not thinking of the angle of his arm, he's not thinking of his foot position. He's looking at the ball, and everything else happens automatic after that. That is where you get to when you reach the confidence stage, because no matter what the situation is, you know exactly what to do. You don't need prior prep, you don't need to be putting in effort. It's effortless, it's seamless, it's like you're in a state of flow. The last and final stage is that of undeniability. When you're undeniable, your expressed version and your internal self have no gap. Your core values and all your actions are 100% aligned. This is the main difference between being confident and being undeniable. It means that your psychological self concept is so clear. You are able to differentiate between what you actually want, who you actually are, from the idea of what other people see you as and what other people want you to want. In short, it is the full embodiment and expression of your core values and your 100% true, authentic self. Now, I want to take you through the various systems and processes, the frameworks that need to be implemented to take yourself through all these six stages. Try to figure out what things are already working, what things need to be improved, and where you have done absolutely no work. So those would be the main priority for you to fix. Hey, just a quick interruption. If you've seen enough and you want to learn more about what it's like to work together, go to Instagram. My Instagram is at Ajitesh Gogoi. Send me the keyword impossible. Just DM me the keyword impossible, preferably all caps, and I'll send over a document with all the details on what it's like to work with me. Now, back to the framework. So, this is the impossible to overlook framework. It's the quickest way I know to get you from invisible to impossible to overlook over the next 12, 24, 36 months, depending on where you're at currently. This is the full framework. We'll focus on the goal, which is the center. By the way, this is my goal for you. And if it doesn't align with you, you feel like this is not for me, then you should click away, watch some other video. My goal for you is to help you become impossible to overlook. It's not just build some confidence. It's not learn some communication skills, learn to crack some interviews. Those are surface level things that will automatically happen if you focus towards the main goal and the constraints that are holding you back. How do you know if this is your goal? There are three things that you're probably looking to achieve. The first is you want to build a high level of confidence. What does that mean? You want to be able to go into any situation with the belief that I can handle this. If that is what you want, then this goal is for you. The other thing that you're looking for is you want respect from your peers in your personal life, in your professional life. If that is you, then this goal is for you. And the last thing that you probably want is to have influence in your personal life, in your professional life. What does that mean? That means your words actually lead to change in behavior in the people you're speaking with. That is influence. Confidence, respect, influence become impossible to overlook. Does all of this align with you? If it does, cool. Let's get started. There are three things that are currently holding you back from achieving this goal. The first thing is that you overthink and you hesitate before taking action. You love to intellectualize, you love to analyze. Nothing wrong with that, but too much of a good thing becomes deadly. The second thing that's holding you back is that you struggle with being taken seriously. We got to work on that. And the third thing that's holding you back is a fear of visibility. Now, you might say, I'm not scared of visibility, Ajitesh. I am a humble girl or guy, and I actually don't like the spotlight. I like to stay low key. You have to be honest with yourself if you want to make a change. All of that is just polite speak for a fear of visibility. And there are three solutions for each of these issues. In order to fix overthinking and hesitation, we build self trust. In order to start being taken seriously, we have to work on learning assertive communication. And in order to resolve our fear of visibility, you need to learn how to claim your presence. This is the overall view. What we're going to do now is do a kind of diagnosis. It's like a CAT scan. Think of it like an X ray of your current situation. Grab a piece of paper, grab some colorful pencils, pens. Even if you have no colors, just write down the initials of the colors. We're going to mark each of these things that you can see leading to the solutions. This is the how. It's going to show you how you can fix these problems, how you can actually implement these solutions. You're going to mark each of these with either a green, which means, hey, this is solid, I don't need to work on this, or you're going to mark it with a yellow. This means it's in place, but it could use some upgrades, improvements. Or you can mark it with a red. This means this absolutely does not exist in my life. I need to implement it, set it up, do some real hard work. Red, yellow, green, like a traffic light. So figure out where you are for each of these. Cool. Let's start with the left side of the equation. We're going to build self trust so that we can stop overthinking and hesitating. Three things we need to do. First, we need to build a behavioral proof bank. This is to give your brain evidence that you can act differently, that it's safe to do things that you currently consider are unsafe. I had a client back in 2021. Her name, let's call her Amy, and she came to me because she was trying to lose weight. And her main concern was, I cannot go to the gym, Ajitesh, because I'm overweight and people are going to laugh at me. It's a valid concern. Many people who are trying to lose weight have this issue. The gym, in her case, was right underneath her apartment building. It was a society gym that all people who lived there came to work out in. And she had free access, but she had never stepped into it. Now, we made a deal. I asked her, hey, why don't you do one thing? Can you just try it for me? Put on your gym shoes today. In the evening, just go to your gym, go inside, take a round, and come back out. You don't have to do anything, just explore the place and tell me how it goes. She went in the evening, took a round, came back out, reported back, nothing happened. The next day, I asked her to go back into the gym, walk onto the treadmill, run the treadmill for 5 minutes, come back out, let me know what happens. Nothing happens. Over the next couple of weeks, we built up the treadmill time up to 30 minutes with gradual increments, and nothing significant happened. What did that lead to? That led to her building a behavioral proof that her fear of being laughed at was unwarranted. That's what's happening. How many proofs do you have in your current proof bank, if you have that at all, that what you fear is something that actually happens? Or have you even tested that out? We use something called exposure ladders to test this out and build the behavioral proof that is documented. And that is what we did for Amy, and that is why she could overcome that fear. For most people, they have some proof in their brain, but while starting out, you need a system to track this. So, where is this for you? Is it a red? Is it a yellow? Is it a green? Mark it. The next thing that you need to be working on is accepting rejected parts of yourself. There are currently aspects of you that you consider to be shameful, you consider to be embarrassing, that you don't speak about with anyone else. Sometimes, most of the times actually, you're not even aware of these things until you have done deep introspection. Back when the influencer culture was just getting started, I used to find influencers cringy as hell. I used to think that these people are doing such embarrassing antics. I am getting secondhand embarrassment looking at them. It was only when I did some self reflection I realized that it was a fear of self expression that I had, that had been shamed into a younger version of me, which I had carried so far, that was causing that secondhand embarrassment to happen. So when I saw someone being fully themselves, expressing themselves without any kind of hesitation, it was triggering that cringiness. It was triggering that secondhand embarrassment in myself. And it was holding me back from being able to express myself in an unrestrained manner. So if I had not worked on that, I would not have been able to make this video today. You would not have been watching me. This is a very small example. There are so many parts of us that we have not explored yet, but we know that they have been repressed somewhere, and that is holding us back. If you have not worked on this, what's going to happen is you won't have self trust in those areas. And when you're put in situations where you have to do certain things that bring up these issues, you will have overthinking, you'll experience hesitation, you won't be able to perform confidently. Where is this for you? Is it a red? Is it a green? Is it a yellow? For most people, it's a red. I'm going to mark it with a red. The next thing that we need to work on is to build emotional regulation. Someone reached out to me the other day for a consultation, and they had this ongoing issue that they wanted to fix. And the issue was that they have had multiple angry outbursts at their colleagues in their workplace. And because of this, many of their work relationships have now become strained. And they have no idea why this happens, that they lose control. This has impacted their past personal relationships as well, and they don't know why this is happening. A lack of emotional regulation can happen due to many things. It's due to a lack of emotional awareness, it's due to a lack of emotional processing, and just being scared of experiencing emotions fully and processing the experience that evoke those emotions. It can happen both in overly logical and analytical people. It can also happen in people who are overly empathetic, who identify as empaths. In overly logical people, because they have never really fully experienced things, a lot of times, those emotions get suppressed and they leak out later as sudden sadness, sudden anger, and they have no control over it. In empaths, what happens is they take on the emotion that someone else is experiencing, and that impacts their mood and their subsequent interactions. It's a lack of emotional regulation. There are different strategies to work on this, but if you have not done this work, either in therapy or by yourself, then this is going to leak out into your conversations and it can cause some irreversible damage in your personal and professional relationships. Where is this for you? Is it a red, yellow, green? For most people, it's a red. So I'll keep it at a red. So one, two, three, if you work on this builds self-trust and this reduces overthinking and hesitation. Are we clear? Let's get to the next one. This is learning assertive communication in order to start being taken seriously. The first thing you need to do here is to set consistent boundaries. I had a client, Siddharth, Sid, and his main issue was he was trying to fix his diet and trying to reduce the amount of alcohol consumption. Now, all his friends, they love to party, they love to go out all the time, and they would obviously invite him along. And he had a hard time saying no to drinking. He would say no, they would push him, they would insist, he would say no again, they would insist a couple of more times, and he would just give in. And after that, the next conversation we had, it would go something like this. Hey, Ajitesh, I don't know what's happening. I'm not able to control this. I say no, my friends push me. I think they just don't want me to get in shape. I don't know what to do. It was not that his friends did not want him to get in shape. His friends did not want him to stop drinking. It was him who was not able to set consistent boundaries. Many people can say no. They are unable to hold that boundary consistently. And his no's were not teaching his friends that I don't want to drink alcohol. They were teaching his friends that if I say no, that means just ask me three more times to get a yes. That was the training. And after a while, his no had no value. Even his yes loses value because he says yes to everything. So if you're not able to set consistent boundaries, you are not able to communicate assertively. As a result, people don't take you seriously. Where is this for you? Red, yellow, green. For most people, this is at a red. Going to mark it with a red. The next thing you need to work on is to remove qualifiers from your language. Every day I get DMs from people on Instagram who are asking some kind of a query, some doubt they have, some help they need. And inevitably, over 90% of the people, they start their message with, sorry to disturb you. Sorry if I'm taking up too much of your time. Most of the time, I'm more than happy to answer their questions. But they have devalued their query, their words, even before I have had a chance to read that. And this is not a habit that you can constrain to one area or just one mode of communication. If you do this, You usually do this everywhere, in every place. And that devalues your words, the impact of your words. And saying sorry is just one form of devaluation. Other qualifiers could be things like, this is something I'm not that great at, or I'm not an expert at this. I may not be fully correct. These are all qualifiers. You just think it's being polite, and that has just been conditioned into you from childhood. And if you don't work on this consciously, this leads people to not take what you're saying seriously. For most people, this is also at a red, but for some variety's sake, let's mark it with a green. What is it for you? Red, yellow, green? Mark it. The last thing that you need to work on is to stop over explaining. What does this mean? A fitness coach reached out to me. Let's call him Aditya. And his main concern was that my clients don't take me seriously. And they actually send me videos of these influencers who are saying all the wrong things. And they ask me to explain why this is wrong or why this is correct because they're so convinced that they should be doing that instead of listening to him. And he is the one with the credentials, he has all the certifications. They're not valuing his words more than the influencers. Why is that so? I went onto his page, I checked a few of his content pieces. The pattern was clear. He had no clear stance on anything. Anytime he made a statement, it was hedged by a counter argument that you can eat this, this is healthy for you, but in this circumstance, in this situation, it may not be healthy. Now, for someone who is already confused, who is not an expert, who is a layman, they will still be confused after having consumed this piece of content because it leads them nowhere. He could be technically correct, but he is not decisive in his judgment. And people do not believe people who are indecisive, especially when they are confused themselves. So I asked him to stop doing this. So, over explaining, where are you at with this currently? Most people struggle with this quite a bit. What's it for you? Red, yellow, green? What is it? Now, let's come to the last part of the solution. Claim your presence. What's the first part of it? Personal presence. When we talk about personal presence, we talk about two things. First is your visual presence, that is how you look, also called your visual personality. And the second thing is your vocal personality, how you sound. Visual personality consists of your physique, your body, that is, your appearance, your clothing, your body language, how you take up space. When it comes to your vocal personality, what matters is your tonality, your pacing. Are you able to convey emotion in your voice? Are you able to change the rate of speech? Are you able to project your voice in an impactful manner? All of these things. So, where are you in terms of your personal presence? Are you a red, yellow, green? Where are you? A lot of people are in the red. The next thing is conversational presence. I have a friend, let's call her Tamanna. Tamanna and I have been friends for a while. So she calls me up the other day and says, there's this colleague at my workplace. She always talks over me, and I'm never able to make a point in meetings. I asked her to elaborate on the dynamic. She says, I start speaking, then the colleague, let's call her X, starts talking, and then I try to keep going on, hoping that X will shut up and let me continue, but she does not. And over time, I just realize that no one is paying attention to me. I just fade out. What I asked her to do was that you need to start calling out that behavior. As soon as that happens, sometimes people are just not socially aware. Sometimes it's intentional, but mostly they're just not aware. Next time this happens, stop talking. Tell her that she's interrupting you. Call out the behavior. Say, X, I'm talking. Let me finish. You're interrupting me. And then continue talking. She tried that out, and it turns out X wasn't even aware that she was interrupting Tamanna. It was only when she called it out, she was apologetic, there was no conflict, and things got resolved. So you have to be able to guide conversations. You have to be able to have the frame in control. This is just one aspect of it. Are you the one who sets the frame in conversations, or are you the one who gets dragged into conversations that you did not want to be part of? Where are you at currently in terms of this? For most people, let's say it's at a yellow. What's it for you? Red, yellow, green? Mark it. The last aspect of this is strategic visibility. Visibility beats ability when ability does not work on visibility. What do I mean? If you are the most able, capable person, but no one knows you exist, it's as good as you not existing. People can only choose from what is visible to them. This is very important in corporate environments. So your leadership needs to know what you're up to. If you want to be recognized for your work, your customers need to know that your business exists if you want new clients, new customers. And also in your personal life, this is so important. I had this client, let's call him Akash, and he was just casually bringing it up that I keep on meeting women who are absolutely not my type. And they are these party girls, they like to go out a lot. I don't know if it's me or people I like just don't exist anymore. So we had a back and forth discussion, and it turns out that he liked women who are into reading, who loved animals, and who love to stay indoors more than, enjoying outdoorsy activities. But he was only looking for dates in apps, in parties, and that was all he was doing. He was not part of any environment where the women that he would actually vibe with hung out. So a simple thing that we tested out is that I asked him, why don't you narrow it down to two things, reading and loves animals? Can you join a book club and maybe start volunteering at an NGO for animals and then see if you can meet people who are also into those kinds of things? He joined an online book club. He joined an NGO for volunteering with animals. And within a couple of weeks, he had met someone who was exactly his type. What is it worth to you if a small strategic shift in your visibility could get you to meet the love of your life, could get you to secure your next promotion, your next big client? What is it worth to you in terms of a monetary value? How big is that number? Think about it. How valuable is that to you? So, strategic visibility is more important than just being visible. You need to put some systems in place because you need to claim your presence. If you're passive about it, you most likely don't have any presence. So, don't rely on luck, claim your presence. For most people, they're somewhat visible, but it's all luck based. They don't usually have a strategy behind it. So, I'll mark it with a red. What's it for you? Red, yellow, green, mark it. Now, this is the bird's eye view. This is your X-ray, your CT scan, your analysis, diagnosis of your current situation. And thank you for being part of this. So if there were three things that you could identify from this that would give you the maximum benefit over the next 30, 60, 90 days in order to get you closer to your goal of becoming impossible to overlook, what would those three things be? What I can do for you is provide you with the frameworks, systems, processes that you can implement for each of these 9 items so that you can bring them all up to green and get the outcome that you want. If you want to learn more about how I can help you get these results, go to Instagram. My Instagram is at Ajitesh Gogoi. Send me the keyword impossible and I'll send you over a document with all the details on what it looks like to work with me. The next step will be in the document itself. There is no call booking, there are no sales calls, nothing like that. If after reading the document you feel like, hey, this is not for me, I wish you all the very best. I'll see you in my inbox.